This day will be ruined.
That expertise.
Well, it starts with coconut, so how can I go off?
We got ready. It's basically AFP. What is it?
Man on the street. Remember?
Yeah,
Man
well,
on the street.
yeah, I know. It's gonna be. Once you
ready?
get this, explain.
Ready? We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 1st meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
First item is item number 2 under unfinished business. Consider approval of Home Rule Resolution number 2013-4, rescinding Home Rule Resolution 93-1, requiring private employers performing work on Shawnee on county construction projects to pay federal prevailing wage.
Are there questions or anyone in the audience wanting to speak on this item? Questions of the commissioners?
No, Your Honor.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve?
This motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer, and this is our second reading. So all those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Question?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would like to move item number 1 from the consent agenda, and we can put that as B2, simply because the amount of money and the impact that this item has, I think it should be discussed separately. So I don't know if I need to make a motion, or we can do that administratively.
We'll do that administratively, but
Okay.
do you want to make a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the
We
rest
can
of
do
the
that.
agenda, the consent agenda as amended.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Under new business, item A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have one set of voucher payments dated July 31, 2013, in the total amount of $1,670,610.90. I have my questions answered, so I'll make a motion to approve the voucher payments as presented.
Thank you. There's
Second.
a motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
Move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Public Works, number 1, consider approval of a sole source emergency purchase of a diesel fuel tank in the amount of $1,889.82.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works issue. Public Works had a truck in which the diesel fuel tank became corroded and rusted and needed to be replaced. The age of this truck is such that the dealer, it happens to be a Chevrolet, did not have the parts, so we were able to find one through a leased truck service in Topeka through an aftermarket provider. This vehicle is one that we really can't afford to have out of service for very long, so we went ahead and authorized the purchase for $1,889.82, and it is our request that this be approved.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
It's a motion by Commissioner Archer and second by Commissioner Cook. Discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item B2, consider approval of change order number 1 to contract C29-2013 with Ham Inc. for the Southeast 45th Street, South Topeka Boulevard to Southeast Adams project for extra work required to modify the southeast quadrant of the intersection located at Southeast 45th Street and South Topeka Boulevard to allow for property stormwater runoff drainage and to eliminate the possibility of icing conditions during winter weather at an increase of $19,950.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works. As mentioned, as Ms. Beck just reiterated there, during construction of this first phase of the Southeast 45th Street between Topeka Boulevard and Southeast Adams Street, at the very far end at Topeka Boulevard, the southeast corner, it was discovered that it didn't look like it was going to drain properly. So essentially what needed to be required was we needed to extend and rework the curb and gutter around the corner for a further length than what was originally anticipated, which added quantities of curb and gutter work and some asphalt work for that project. So we authorize it so that we keep the project moving and try to keep it on schedule as much as we can. The prices that the change order was used were unit prices already established in the prior contract, so the unit prices were already established. This is essentially just an increase in the amount of quantities. And the reason, normally, you know, this kind of thing where you have little changes here and there are usually kept track of through what's called a work directive. The amount of the quantities in this particular one were such that it was a fairly substantial amount. That's why a change order was initiated for this particular work item. I apologize for not having it on consent. It was my mistake from past practice, but we will, from here on forward, we will make sure that doesn't happen. But if there's any questions, the amount is of the increase is $19,950, and this is a sales tax funded project, so this would be funded through the county's half-cent sales tax. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thanks, Tom. Questions?
But
Commissioner Archer?
and thank you, Tom, I appreciate it. But even though it's sales tax money, at the end, there's going to be, or there may be, some money left over that will be split somehow between the city and the county after all the projects and everything is done. Is that correct?
Yes. If we're looking at our cash flow that we
Yeah.
most recently have, we believe that's going to happen.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, I think it's important that we always monitor and stay on top of all items that are sales tax money, and not just say, well, it's sales tax money, because in the long run, we have a possibility that we could benefit from
Yes.
the
And
sales
actually,
tax money.
anything
that's left over.
this particular item, you know, should have been in the original design. So we would have paid for it at those same unit prices. It wasn't, I think there might have been a couple items where we had to negotiate with the contractor that may not have been in it, but I think the majority of the items that were added were already established by unit prices. And so this should have been in the design to get the return in, and it wasn't. So it should have been in the first place, so that amount. So we're really paying what we probably should have been paying at the beginning. But Commissioner is correct. And also, well, speaking of that, just to, as a reminder, this particular project, when the budget was initially set, what we thought the prices were going to be, the bids came in well under that. I think up to the tune of this phase of $1.3 million under what our budget was. So, granted that, excuse me, but even that's all. Yeah, you're right. We need to, we do watch every dollar as we go along. So.
But the work that was performed was in order to ensure that it's installed properly and that it drains, and
Yes,
that's the reason for the change
Our
order.
crews out in the field tried to figure out a way to get it where this work wasn't going to need to be done, but we just couldn't get it. We just couldn't do it. So we ended up having to redo the return.
Okay.
Or not redo it, but actually just improve it.
Okay. Questions?
Mr. Locke, did I understand you correctly that you have 1.3 that might be unused from this project alone, which would be the 45th Street project?
Mm-hmm.
And do we have an idea of overall what we're looking at as far as all of our projects?
Yes, we do.
And,
I'm a little hesitant to say that because
Yeah.
it's out there and
The
because
finance-
there's other projects coming up that
Right.
may lower that number, but
but this is a number you're constantly monitoring.
yes, yeah, we've been monitoring through the whole program. We have a cash flow sheet that we keep and have been tracking it. So when we get our final costs for all the projects that we've completed, it's updated. And then we get numbers from the city of Topeka for the projects that they're administering. And we have 3 or 4 projects left to go. And right now we're looking like we're in pretty good shape. And
Now, if a member of the public wanted to kind of keep track, there's an annual meeting of JADO with the city of Topeka and Shawnee County where you review what projects have been completed and the costs, correct?
not that I have attended.
Well, I think
So-
that before, when I was running for office, before becoming county commissioner, I had the opportunity to meet with, there was a meeting with the city of Topeka, audit finance, yourself, our audit finance director, where you review what monies have been spent from the joint economic development dollars.
Yes, we have a JADO Finance Committee meeting,
Right.
which those meetings are open to the public, and we typically have them, they're on an on-call and on an as-needed basis, and we typically have them before our commission meeting so that we know the media is gonna be here already.
Right.
And it affords them an opportunity to attend if they would like, to make it convenient for them to attend if they'd like. They're fairly informal meetings, but we have them before these meetings so that the media has an opportunity to be there.
So if a person wanted to attend to kind of see what the projects have been completed, what the costs are, they're more than welcome to attend those finance committees.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are open to the public.
And that would give you an idea of just kind of what the expenditures are and what has been spent and what's left over.
Yes,
Okay.
and what we project, but again, it's all projections, based on sales tax revenues that are received in the coming years. The revenues that we received have been pretty spot on, or our budgets, or at least the numbers that were projected was a fairly conservative number, and we took a little dip as far as what the revenues were for sales tax, back in 2008, 2009, but they have since come back, and this last year was a really good year. So we hopefully that will continue, and then we should be in pretty good shape.
And Tom, the finance committee is representatives of the city and representatives of the county that work cooperatively to administer that sales tax, correct?
Yes, it's
I mean,
the Public
that's-
Works Director from the county and the Public Works Director from the city, as well as the financial administrators from both the city and the county.
And I believe the makeup of that committee and its duties are set up in the interlocal agreement. Do you remember, Rich, or?
Well, it was
it's
in one
set
of the
up-
later interlocal agreements. It was
Right.
a creature that we created after the
Right,
initial.
but it is all
interlocal.
tied together, so, okay. Yes, Commissioner Archer?
Yes, Madam Chair, and since Commissioner Cook brought up JADO, I want to remind everybody before I forget that there is a JADO meeting today at 5:30, and it's going to be at the Holiday Building, not in the City Council chambers. I'm sure it'll be televised, but anyone that can attend and wants to make public comment about how your tax dollars are spent, I encourage them to attend at 5:30 in the Holiday Building.
Mhm.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll make a motion to approve the change order.
Second?
It's a motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. Anyone wanting to speak on this item? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Item C, Human Resources, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 368-2013 with Spanish Professional Consulting LLC to conduct Spanish competency tests at the following rates: $500 one-time charge for initial test development, $60 per applicant employee for testing, and $40 per hour for miscellaneous services upon request.
Good morning, Commissioners. A little history about how this has come to being. In some of our labor agreements, it was placed in the early 2000s where employees were eligible for a bilingual pay, a Spanish differential. They could pass a Spanish competency test. For several years, for about 10 in fact, we were able to do that in-house. We had somebody on staff that was able to do that, and they were gracious enough to volunteer their time to help us get folks tested and scored, and so they could receive the extra pay. Unfortunately, that person retired, so we had to do something differently. Last year, we put a one-year contract in place to try to see if this would work out for us. It expires in August 13th, so it's coming right up. This is a replacement contract to that. This is open-ended, so it's not an annual agreement, but it's exactly the same. It just has different dates in fact.
Thank you,
Any
John.
questions?
I do not. Other questions?
Motion to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C-369-2013 with Rasmussen College for additional educational opportunities for Shawnee County employees at a reduced tuition rate.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cindy Williams is here. She's going to actually speak on this subject. That this is a great partnership between a private and a public organization in order to move forward. So, Ms. Williams will be able to visit.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today and to see some of you again.
Good morning.
I'm the Professional Education Manager at Rasmussen College, and as you may have known, we're the new kid on the block, new college out on I-70. Rasmussen has actually been around since 1900, but we just opened 2 new campuses in Kansas, one in Overland Park and one in Topeka. We really focus on the non-traditional student. Majority of our students, about 70% of them, come to us with some college experience. They are working professionals going to school, most of them going to school part-time. We do have certificates, diplomas, associates, bachelor's degrees in 6 schools of study. We have our School of Business, Technology, Design, Human Resource, excuse me, Health Sciences, Justice Studies, and Early Childhood Education. I'm here today to talk to you briefly about the opportunity for a corporate partnership with Rasmussen College, and what that means. It allows the employees of Shawnee County to get 10% discount off of part-time enrollment. It also allows them to get to qualify for a $2,000 partnership success grant for those individuals that are working on their bachelor degree. The other thing that we have for law enforcement officers and firefighters and paramedics is an American Heroes Grant, which is a $2,500 grant given to those pursuing any of those degrees. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the bachelor degree. The great thing about that American Heroes Grant is you can combine that with the Partnership Success Grant, so they can get a total of $4,500 to apply towards their education. This educational opportunity is complimentary. There is no cost to the county, to our partners, and it is simply either a verbal, or I know there's been a request for an MOU, so we did spell out the MOU with the county, and that can be extended from year to year. At the wishes of both the county and Rasmussen. Those are some of the benefits to the employees. Some of the benefits to the employer is we do have a job portal recruitment site. Spoke to Mr. Thummel about posting free of charge your openings on our site. That goes out to all our current students, and then also, of course, all our graduates across the country, and they're in nine additional countries as well. The county can use the facility free of charge, so you can use meeting space. We encourage you to come out. We do have partnerships with a number of organizations, government entities, and businesses in town, City of Topeka, and then also State of Kansas. Our partners and their employees have been able to benefit from some of these educational opportunities. A lot of our partnerships are seen as a benefit. They go through HR, so that's why I've been working with Jonathan, been working with Director Cole also, because he's interested in some of his officers taking advantage of perhaps some of these benefits, but definitely the educational opportunities, so they can use those for advancement in their career. I'd be glad to answer any questions, maybe about the college or about the partnership, or what it mean to employees. Okay.
Great opportunity.
Okay.
Yes,
Great. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
We're
Thank
happy
you.
that Rasmussen College is here, and I really do appreciate your partnering with us to get us this tuition break.
Absolutely, and I do have to thank, because especially the two of you did help with when they were looking at their site. to locate in Topeka. That was one of the reasons that they chose Topeka is the ability to work with government and to work with the businesses, and everyone was so welcoming. So we are very excited that we're here. So thank you.
And John, you'll get information out to all of our employees on these items.
Commissioner
Thank
Rose,
you very much.
Yes,
I do have a question for Mr. Thummel. I think this, Commissioner Archer said this is a great opportunity for the county, for our employees. Do we have any other agreements with any other of the universities, Washburn, KU, K-State, Baker, Friends?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is this something that you would be able to pursue to see if they would be willing to enter into the same sort of memorandum of understanding?
Sure. I can certainly
I
do
mean,
that.
Topeka has a wealth of colleges and educational institutions within our boundaries that I would love to see our employees be able to participate with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. And thanks for being here this morning.
Yeah.
Did you want to introduce anyone else? Cindy? Cindy, did you want to introduce anyone else?
This is Stephen Brown.
Okay, good.
With our Chicago campus.
Oh, very good. Well, welcome. Thank you. All right.
Item D, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 370-2013 with Bright Circle Montessori School, Inc. to operate the Creative Learning Adventures programs at Lake Shawnee and the Velma K. Paris Community Center, with the county being reimbursed $1,250 per month for 9 months for a total of $11,250 annually.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Nye, Parks and Recreation. I'm just a little anxious following the topic of college and universities. Just to set the record straight, I have 6 years of education. I got my bachelor's from Bethany. I took it very seriously. In fact, I had several classes 2 and 3 times. This contract, Commissioners, is a preschool program that we privatized several years ago. We've run that program out of the Lake Shawnee Recreation Facility and the Velma K. Paris Community Center. It has been a very good partnership. We'd like to extend that contract another year. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have. I do have Olivia Mayer, the Community Center Director from Paris, and Sean Osborne, the Recreation Supervisor from the Lake, here to answer any specific questions.
Okay, thank you, John.
Move to approve the contract.
Here's a motion to approve.
Second.
By Commissioner Cook and second by Commissioner Archer. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item D2, consider authorization and execution of contract C 371-2013 with TARC, Inc., setting out the conditions for the operation of TARC's Winter Wonderland Celebration of Lights to be held November 27th through December 31st, 2013, with payment to the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation of 12% of the gross gate receipts with a minimum of $11,000.
Commissioners, as the memorandum states, this will be the 17th year of the Winter Wonderland out at Lake Shawnee. It began 17 years ago. One of the, this has been not only a great project, great event for the entire community, but also it's great for the staff. The staff has really bought into this. They really like helping with this. In fact, for the first 14 years, an employee named Glenn House at the Lake Shawnee campground has worked diligently with this group. Won some local awards for his volunteerism. I ran into Glenn at the Atria assisted living facility the other day. He says he religiously watches all of the county commission meetings on tape, so he said to say hi to him. Hi, Glenn. We'll see if he really does watch. I'm going to catch him at lunchtime today and see if he really does watch. This is a great event, great for the community. We have participation from all across the Midwest. Almost every state has a card that comes through this, and it's a great fundraiser for TARC, and it's great to have people in our parks in the November-December time.
Right.
Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, Commissioner Archer.
I'll thank Glenn and make a motion to approve the contract.
There's a motion to approve the contract by Commissioner Archer.
I'll second, but I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Knight, can you tell us, I mean, there's a contract provision that 12% comes back to the county. How much has that resulted in over the past years, do you know, or?
I'll let Sean answer that question. He probably has a better idea, works directly with that event.
Good morning, Commissioner Shawnee, Parks and Rec. It is their biggest fundraiser for TARC, and estimate-wise, I don't have that number right offhand, but I would say it's like right around over 100,000 that they bring in from the gate.
Okay.
And that,
But the 12% that comes to the county is around 10 to 12, 15%.
And then, what's the obligation from the county? Are we having people that are working this, or, I guess, outside of allowing them to use our facility, do we have any financial investment in this at all?
We have a little bit. Our staff does put up all of the lights, and we do go by. Some years, Sean was instrumental in getting that cut down, but if light bulbs burn out, some of those type of things, but we've gone to LED several years ago. So there's the setup, and that's about it.
Okay. And so,
but we also heavily use volunteers from the jail crew. This is an event that the jail crew really enjoys participating in as well.
and the reason I ask is just, I mean, trying to look at our budget constraints within Shawnee County when we're talking about our budget. If it comes to a point where we have to look at, for some reason, reducing our TARC contributions, if we can allow or help them by looking at this, if we're talking about $10,000 to $12,000 or more that we are receiving from the Winter Wonderland, just keeping that in mind in our budget considerations.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment?
Yes, you may.
Betty Griner, Financial Administrator. I just wanted to clarify that, as I understand it, the 12% is not going to the county. It's going to the Parks and Recreation Foundation, which is
Right.
separate from the county.
All right. And that's, I wanted some clarification. It didn't specify that in the memorandum, but it probably does in the further down the contract. So, but those were the questions I had. Thank you.
There is a motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the motion say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Item E, appraiser, number 1, consider approval to pay invoice to the Kansas County Appraisers Association in the amount of $7,457.30 to assist with enhancements to the Orion computer-assisted mass appraisal system.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Hickson, County Appraiser. This item is was created several years ago, about 4 years ago, when the Department of Revenue of the Kansas, or the Property Valuation Division of the Department of Revenue, ran into some financial cutbacks, and we're no longer able to finance the enhancements of the Orion computer-assisted mass appraisal program. Just for a little bit of history, that's the program the state has prescribed for use in all counties for appraising real property. And so anyway, we, as the county appraisers, determined that it's our system. We are the users of this system. The state only provides it to us free of charge and pays for the support. And so enhancements that we want and we need, we decided to take charge of that and to start determining what enhancements we wanted and to also finance it. The way we came up with to do that was to send out voluntary assessments to each county based on 10 cents per parcel. And I've provided you with a listing of the counties that have participated this year so far. We're not included there because this is the first time I brought this to your attention for approval. And our assessment is $7,457.30. I did budget $7,500 for this year. So it's in the budget.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Other questions? Move approval of the request.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item F, commission, number 1, reflect the appointment of Hal Gardner to the Riverfront Authority by Commissioner Cook for a 3-year term ending May 8th, 2016.
I don't see Mr. Gardner present,
No, I don't,
but I would recommend that his appointment to the Riverfront Authority.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer, and we thank Mr. Gardner. Good selection. All those in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item F2, consider canceling the October 7th commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook.
Archer.
I'm sorry.
I'll second it, though.
Motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. A, B, C. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Woodchecker, County Councilor. Before I start this, I should point out to John that he shouldn't feel bad about going to school for 6 years. A lot of people go to school 6, 7, or 8 years. They're called doctors and lawyers. Commissioners, you had an item last Thursday about declining revenue. So, and by revenue, we mean mill levy property taxes. So we conducted a brief investigation to see if we could find something. I prepared a memo and some numbers to you. And I have to say I had a serious amount of help, not only from Megan Barrett in my office, but Cindy Beck and Diana Martin, and then Steve Ballin from the appraiser's office. It takes those kind of departments working together to come up with these numbers. Even though the charts look rather simple, there's a lot of work that goes into these. The first fact I would like to go over is that we're getting ready to publish in our legal daily, which I believe is the Metro News, the delinquent 2012 taxes. And that is without regard to whether or not they've paid their 2011s, 2010s, so forth and so on, 2012 only. And the first thing that jumps out at us is that for the prior year, we published 5,853 parcels, and the amount of taxes owed was $7.4 million. This year, we're going to publish about the same, 5,800 parcels, but that number jumps to $8.4 million in delinquent taxes. And by the way, that's for all mill levies. That's not just the county share. So there's a $1 million increase, which tells us that some of the larger properties are now having some problems in the 2012 year because the parcel didn't change, but the value did, and our appraisals simply didn't go up that much for the 2012 year. So then we went ahead and looked at the larger properties, and we knew we had an outlier, and the outlier is the Lindemuth and the Lindemuth Company's bankruptcy, and it's such an outlier because of the top 10 properties that exist that haven't paid their taxes for the 2012 year. He owns 5 of them. The county share of what he owes alone is $527,000, or more than half of what our declining revenue is for this year. It's probably the biggest story in the real estate world in our community, and probably even the business world as well. And understand that that's only our share. The entire tax bill for him is over $1.8 million when you include all the other mill levy entities. So other mill levy entities are having the same issue on this single bankruptcy. The 2011 taxes were pre-petition, which means that he doesn't have to pay those during the course of his bankruptcy unless he sets up a payment plan, and we simply didn't have enough time to see what portion of that was paid. But the post-petition taxes, they are not paid, and he's required to pay them, but there's no enforcement mechanism because of the bankruptcy stay. And as a matter of fact, we won't even list his properties in the 2012 legal publication because lawyers have interpreted that's a violation of the stay. We publish the names of the people who haven't paid their taxes to get them to pay their taxes. That's an enforcement mechanism. So we are stayed from doing that. So we don't typically include any bankruptcies in our notices. So anyway, that's the first chart that you'll see here is just simply the 10 biggest. Just to see what else is going on in the community, we then went to another chart, which is properties that are simply delinquent for 2012 only. Okay, these are not delinquent in 2011 and past years. They're not subject to a tax sale. We also took out all the Lindemuth properties again. he skews all the numbers, so we took him out just to see some of the other properties that are delinquent for 2012. And as you can see, they're fairly big numbers. That chart alone comes to over $300,000 in back taxes. And again, I believe that that is total taxes, not the county share. But that's a little bit of a look. And what I think we can glean from this is that we're lucky that we're only down $900,000. It looks like it could have been worse. So that's pretty much where we're at and where we're at with the revenue situation. I will note that with commercial properties, we cannot enforce or put them into a tax sale until they're 2 years delinquent. So none of these are in any danger of going into a tax sale anytime soon. And as always, we try to average about 2 tax sales a year. We've gone to a model of combining them at the actual auction day, so we have 1 auction day a year, but 2 tax sales a year. And thanks to the help of the treasurer's office and the clerk's office, we stay on top of those as well as we can.
Thank you, Rich.
How many of these are subject to appeal if they're contesting their valuation or their taxation?
You know what, I didn't look at that, but the bigger the property is, the better percentage it's under appeal. But I will say, we're on a pretty good run. Our appraiser's office does a top flight, top rate job. Pure accident, Hickson's sitting in the room right now, with their values. He has good appraisers and they're easy to defend, and we win more than our share. So we're very confident in our valuations.
And I didn't know if that factored into that if you had a person who was listed that hadn't paid their 2012 taxes, if it was under appeal.
Right. Well, and even then, even though you could have a fairly big swing on the valuation, but because you take it times the assessment and then you take it times the mill levy, the amount of taxes doesn't really change a whole lot. I mean, if Wood Valley, for instance, appeals and they win, their tax bill could go from $63,000 to $59,000. Now, that $4,000 is a lot to Wood Valley, no doubt about it, and worth their time in appealing if something like that happened. But in the bigger budget of Shawnee County and City of Topeka and others, it's not that much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anything else under administrative communications?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Just real briefly, I wanted to let you know that at the department there's big efforts to revitalize the drug and alcohol program that we used to have at the jail. Back in, I believe, and I think Kathy's here, I think it was probably 2001, we started through the courts an in-house drug and alcohol program that was very beneficial to the inmates, the community, the courts, and then that eventually got moved over to the Department of Corrections budget. In 2011, due to unforeseen budget constraints, then we lost that program. We have since been in contact with Vallejo to see what kind of programs they could provide to the Department of Corrections and the community to be able to get this program back on track. It was a very successful program. The success rate was very high. The inmates were held accountable in that they paid for a portion of the product and the program, that if the inmate became arrest-free for 6 months, then the remaining portion was waived. So we have been working with Vallejo in trying to revitalize that program, and it will also enhance our reentry initiatives. One of the other things that came along just yesterday was a funding opportunity that came through the Topeka Community Foundation that I received a email about a potential funding opportunity, kind of a preliminary step towards a grant. What they've asked for is that when I got the email, I called them and asked them if this was something that could be used towards a jail program. And I also enlisted Stephanie Mott here to help me with this as well. Everybody said yes. The first step you have to do is you have to provide a concept paper, which is kind of an overview of what it is to even see if you even qualify. So I would like to be able to, and hope that it would be approved. I don't know if I needed to put this on a different agenda item, but I would like to be able to submit a concept paper just to see if our program could even qualify for these type of funds. And then if that's the case, if it does and it gets past this initial stage, then I'd be working with Stephanie, then I would come back to the commission for approval to even be able to submit an application to the grant.
What's the time frame? When do you need to do
We have
that?
August 22nd before,
Okay.
to submit the concept paper. And in talking to the Topeka Community Foundation, they gave me some very good advice on how to complete the concept paper and things to put in, and the success and our partnership with the courts and with Vallejo. So I seem pretty confident that way. Would it pay for an entire program? I don't know. In talking to people with Topeka Community Foundation, they said this is typically stuff that could be awarded up to maybe close to $40,000. The program probably would be twice that, but that's why we're looking with Vallejo to see what funding they have and what staffing and programs they have that they could bring to the jails. So, and I also be working with Kathy in the courts on looking at potential funding if it's there.
Okay.
I just think this is a good idea, a good opportunity for us to put this back in place, because stats are showing the drug and alcohol abuse in these classes are a big part of reducing recidivism, and it was a vital part of our success at the jail and our reentry. We were seeing a reduction of those offenses. So.
Can you prepare at least a memo? I think it is good to go ahead and include it in the agenda.
Okay.
So that becomes a matter of record, and
Okay.
and then we can get public comment if
Okay.
needed as well.
I'll
But can you
fill
put
one out
together
and get
something
that.
before Monday?
Okay,
or
I'll get that ready.
For the agenda for Monday?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Any questions?
No, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
There is a need for an executive session, but before I make that motion, just a reminder, we do have discussion of budget at 10:30 and in particular facilities. There's a need for executive session for a period not to exceed 30 minutes for non-elected personnel, legal, and real estate.
Second?
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. No anticipated action. But you never know. make sure that, hey, John, do you guys have this? Commissioner Cook, do you have that?
Yes.
And do you have this? From John Thummel?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner, you have this from John Thummel? I have an extra one. I think he sent it to all three of us.
Okay.
You have this from John Knight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I have an extra one, so you can have that one. Okay. All right, everybody's ready. Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Just a few topics about budget before we get into